Yo, 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 what up, what up? In this episode, I am going to be talking about inside joke. Paralachoki, Paramichoki, Operation Chokepoint 2.0, and how I don't think it'll work. Simply, it won't work. So, what I'll do in this episode, I will give you kind of a brief summary. I'll drop a few links. There's a link, some links I'll drop below if you want to read more into depth about this. But basically, Operation Chokepoint 2.0 is the. Let's go back to the first version first, just very quickly. I'll sum it up. So, a couple years ago, the government wanted to shut down, they did shut down basically the banking and funding that these companies could get for anything. They just made it difficult for these people to get banking services of all types, loans, just basically anything you can imagine that has to do with a bank. So some companies in the original choke point were companies like firearms, online poker, things like this. So what the government did is they didn't vote on any of this stuff, by the way. It was just a rogue operation. They basically just went in and they started taking the legs out from under these companies, not banning them from using a bank, but they would do little things that would cause them not to be able to service their clients in a normal fashion that traditional banking provides to the public sector, companies included. So that was like the choke point 2 or 1.0. So now there's this talk of like the choke point 2.0. I think the guy's name's Nic Carter. I had to read up on some of this guys. I wasn't familiar with this, but I'll tell you why I don't think it'll work, because a veteran of this channel reached out to me through email. I got his email right here, and I'll just, I'll read that and kind of give you. So Choke 2.0, the idea of this is like the banks are getting cut off or being kind of told by the government without banning that they shouldn't do business with crypto. We've kind of seen this play out in the last couple of weeks with like Silvergate, SVB, all these banks that have failed that are kind of tied in with crypto, and FTX, and all the variety of different things that are happening with that. They're basically, the idea of Chokepoint 2.0 is they're trying to stop crypto by making it difficult and hard for banks to service people that are into crypto, financial institutes that want to get into crypto. They're making it damn near impossible for that to happen. But here's the thing, and this is the email from the veteran that sent me the email. Hey dude, I like the new direction you made on your channel. Great content, can always keep it real. I've been thinking hard about Operation Choke, Chokepoint 2.0. I think that institutions, corporations, venture capital, and all other big investors will benefit from the choke point. Why? How? They can directly buy, obtain freshly minted crypto direct from the miner. We, the retail, will be left with fewer options to cash out crypto, and the corporates will be permitted to buy and sell because of the new BS regulation or two. What if the corporates take over miners? Then they could blacklist transactions whenever they want. They can even hijack our coin, and when it leaves our wallets. I would appreciate your thoughts on my tinfoil hat moment. Please make a video about this if it's possible. So it is possible, and it's happening right now. So if people now let's go back a little bit here. Let's go back to the beginning of BTC Core, when Bitcoin was the only crypto. Like, there was no banks. This was all traded. Like, the means of how this was traded was totally different. Now it's evolved now, obviously, very long ago, that banks are kind of the entry point to trading in fiat dollars for cryptocurrencies on an exchange. And then once they get to an exchange, you can trade these cryptos on non-custodial wallets even. There's things built in the back end to facilitate the trade, and that kind of thing. So that's where we're at now, right? That's just basically summing it up to where we're at now. It's, everybody knows that we use banks to get to crypto, that kind of thing. So the idea of this choke point is like they're trying to make it hard for the banks to do what they're doing with crypto. So let's take it back to 2017. I can't go back farther than that because I wasn't in crypto then. but I can kind of see the pattern what we're going here. So 2017, crypto basically crashed the credit system. It did. Nobody talked about it. Nobody said anything about it. This wasn't on the news. It was very small amount of news that came out of this. But crypto crashed the credit systems, MasterCard, Visa card, that kind of thing. I don't think American Express. I don't think you could buy crypto, but you could buy crypto on credit card in the United States. Now, I know that there are ways, very complicated ways, in the sense of not everybody can wrap their head around how to buy crypto with a credit card. There are different ways you can do it. Now, I'm not going to go into these different ways, but like, let me tell you, there are ways to buy crypto with credit cards. But for somebody that's just entering crypto, which this is a growing market, and the people that are already in crypto, they're probably not buying it with credit cards just because there's not really a need. But let's just say that it is possible to buy crypto with a credit card. But in 2017, it was as easy as typing in your credit card on Coinbase and hitting buy, and you would immediately purchase the crypto. Obviously, you'd have to wait a few days to get it. But there were some. No, actually, I take that back. You got the crypto immediately. I think you did, because I bought a lot of Litecoin on credit cards back in 2017. So if you bought it with a debit card, there was like the delay time like there is now. So obviously they can watch the money, but when you were buying crypto with a credit card, it was instantaneous. You had access to it immediately. You could turn around. You could literally buy crypto and turn around and cash it out for fiat dollars. So I want you to take that idea, okay? Just think about that for a second. You're taking a debt instrument, which is essentially a credit card, because credit card is not necessarily, it's not money. People think it's money because they have this illusion that when you have a credit card and you're buying something, you're like using money, but that's just a loan on a card that you're paying interest on, and or it's a loan. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. It's a loan on a card. So you have this debt instrument like a credit card, and you're now turning it into money, like actual fiat dollars that can be returned back to a bank and then loaned out, and that kind of thing, to be used as actual like fiat circulating money. And that's the key word, circulating money, because the banks aren't concerned about the money that's sitting in the bank. Like, they're concerned about it when things go wrong, like that's been happening, but let me just say that it's not the same concern as the money that's circulating, not even in circulation, because they still kind of have this idea of how much money is in circulation, but I'm talking about actual circulating money. So there's a difference in that, right? There's this total like estimated amount that they think is in circulation, but they really don't know, see, with crypto, because the prices of crypto assets are going up based on different fiat currencies all around the world that have pegged interest rates on the Forex market that aren't being accounted for in the same respect, in the same sense as they are when that money moves around through the Forex market. So the circulating money is actually different in the sense of crypto. It's not the same as like the money in circulation in the United States that's not in banks, for instance, right? That's not sitting in a checking account. That's not sitting on a mortgage debt, on any of these debt instruments like credit cards, car loans. Like to give you an idea, the government knows how much debt there is, so they know how much money there is, right? Because they have, it's all either in the bank in the form of cash, not literally fiat dollars, but like in the form of numerical inputs, and then they have you could just say numerical outputs based on where the debt is in the system, right? Like they have mortgages, car payments, private lenders, government public service lenders, that kind of thing. So they have like everything kind of under control, but what they don't have under control is the circulating money in a crypto sense, not in a fiat dollar sense, because there's circulating money, there's dollars, fiat paper money in circulation that they kind of know what's out there based on what's going in and out of the ATM machines and what they're, destroying, what they're creating, that kind of thing. But they do not know how much, and I'm going to tie all this in, guys. There's a point on how this ties in with Chokepoint 2.0. So just bear with me here. I'll reach a final point like I do, and hopefully you'll get some kind of resolution to this question. That I'm sorry, I don't have the name in front of me, so I don't want to divulge any private information, but I don't have the name anyways. But for the person that wrote me an email, so. When you have all these cryptos circulating, and we're not talking about the ones that are sitting on an exchange, because it gets a lot more complicated at that point. There's derivatives built on top of those amounts. There's volumes. There's massive amounts of volume that's happening. So it becomes scary at that point. But what is really scary for the U.S. and the politicians and the world superpower governments and private corporations that run the world, the crypto that's circulating, whether it be something that somebody buys down in St. Kitts or Townsville with Bitcoin Cash, or somebody buys with Monero on the dark web, any of that stuff, it becomes untraceable. Like, they only know how much is out there, kind of pegged on dollars, but they really don't know how much is out there because it's not in the hands of what they can control. Now, in this question, to be more specific and try to tie this in with a question, this person said, so it seems like he or she is worried about like the miners being able to be taken over by essentially the government, corporations, venture capitalists, that kind of thing. Now, let me pause right there and bring up a map of the Bitcoin, because right now it's going to seem like I'm talking Bitcoin right now. You guys know I'm not a huge BTC fan. I'm just not. But right now, that is where all the hash power is currently. I mean, sorry guys, it's the truth. But let me tie this in too. The miners don't give a fuck about BTC. They never did. They care about one thing, and that's profits. So as soon as another coin or another chain becomes more profitable to mine on a mass scale, they'll switch these fucking miners to BSV, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, whatever they want to switch it to. So don't look at this as BTC, guys, okay? Look at this as crypto. This is the crypto hash power around the world. Now, take all these ideas that I just told you about circulating crypto and think about how this is tied into social economics, credit, and how these two aspects are different all around the world. And this is going to answer your question, person that wrote me this email. So the United States accounts for 37.84% of BTC hash power. Asia, we'll say China because this is still China right here, even though it's in Kazakhstan. This is still China right here, guys. Okay, I mean, let's face the music. So 21, 34. So we're 34, 37, 21, yeah, 34, 37. Yeah, so 34. We'll say 34 is kind of China over here. 37 is the United States. So think about this, guys. Now here in America, we're used to using credit cards. You know, we're used to going on to like Experian. We're used to like paying our car notes and stuff on time to make sure our credit's good and all that kind of thing. But like, let's go over to China and things are totally different over here. Like they basically skipped the credit card generation. They didn't even have a credit card boom. You go to China, you pay everything with a QR code. They have people in China, you know, paying for a chapter of a book, you know, a chapter at a time type stuff. Like they pay the Chinese, the way that their credit system is set up, it's set up through a social economic like tier of hierarchy. Like, and what that means is it's not just based on like a credit score. Their credit, the Chinese, I think it's like Chinese, or it's like the Sesame credit, and there's like a few other credit scoring things. They don't base their credit like the United States do. Like, oh, if you made your payment on time. Like if you fucking miss like a court for like running a red light or that kind of thing, it goes on your credit, and you basically, it's more of a socialist approach, because you got to remember China's authoritarian, so they are using these data companies to basically, because there's no censorship really on it. I mean, they're able to basically abuse it. So they categorize people based on like habits, like things that you wouldn't even think of. Like imagine if your credit score got affected for like jaywalking, or your credit got affected for not paying a parking ticket, or your credit got improved for donating to charity. Like that is China. That is how their credit system, and I'll try to find a link or something where I can drop it below, and you guys can read up more on how Chinese credit works. So how does this tie in with like the question, right? So you have all this hash power, and it's basically equal, because I would say that China probably has some more hash power over here. Some of this is probably Chinese, and maybe it's even sitting over here in Africa, because Chinese has been building out infrastructure in Africa for the last 20 years. In the United States, they sent Yellen over there recently, Janet Yellen, to kind of blow the horn, to say, hey, we want to come over here now. What are you guys doing over here? We want to come over here. So let's just say it's half and half. And I would actually say China probably has more crypto hash power. Again, we're looking at BTC, but let's just call it crypto, because these miners could switch to any other crypto if it becomes more profitable. So let's just say China has more hash power, right? So like if venture capitalists and politicians and all these people take crypto out, well, they can't take it out just by knocking the banks off. That just knocks out the on-ramp off. That still doesn't give them control of the crypto that's circulating, because even the crypto that's sitting on exchanges like Binance and stuff, they don't control that. So let's just pair that up with China and say that's Chinese, even though they're in Malta, whatever. Let's just pair that up with Chinese. I'm just giving you a theoretical. So you have these exchanges that are paired up, right, where they know where that money is. So like Coinbase, for instance, right? Like that's US. So they theoretically know they could take Coinbase out. Now I'm not saying they are, or that's even part of the plan. But what I'm saying is the money that is circulating in crypto, meaning like the money that can't be, it's there. It's almost like they know it's there, but they know they don't control that amount of money. Now, when your money is in your checking account, they control that. Whether or not the bank fails, you get your money over the 250,000 FDIC amount, or it's controlled with a debt instrument like a mortgage, a car payment. They know how to control it. They know how to manipulate these numbers to put control. And what's interesting is China is now giving more power over to the private sector with their financial ministry. And you guys have, I'm sure, been reading about that on the news. And they're going back to something that they had a problem with back in 2007. They're going back to that style of financial, and they're giving these data companies basically more control over the credit. Because like the credit in China is it's so much different than the United States, and it's kind of hard to, it's kind of like a whole nother video you'd have to make to kind of understand that. But back to the point here is that no, to answer your question in the email, I don't think this Operation Chokepoint, chokehold, paralachoki, I don't think it'll blacklist wallets or any of that stuff, because you got to remember, like, the way that the mining block reward happens, it's going down. So there'll be less money there'll be less coins coming into circulation, whether it's Bitcoin Cash, BSV. Speaking of BSV and Bitcoin Cash, the Mt. Gox is unloading on people right now. So just FYI, we can moon soon on Bitcoin Cash and BSV. Just throwing it out there, just a little tidbit of insider information. Basically, like, the way that the mining is set up and the block rewards are set up, it's already out there. There's no stopping it now. There's so much out there that's not in the hands of the controllers, the financial controllers of the world, whether it be this socioeconomic data company that's hijacking everybody's data in China for Chinese citizens, and or you're in this what people think is the free world where people are paying their car notes on time and they get rewarded with a high credit score and they go out and borrow more money or essentially take on more debt. So basically, no, I don't think. What was the other part of the question? What if corporates take over miners? Well, corporations have already taken over miners. I mean, they're right here. You got Binance Pool, you got Ant Pool, you got Found. I mean, some of these might be private companies. They might not be corporation entities, but essentially they're businesses, right? It's private business has taken over this stuff, and China has given private business more access to control money rather than it being so tied to the state, which really they're just giving more. And I want you to think about this too. Really, they're just giving China private industry like Alibaba and WeChat. They're just giving them more authorization to do what they want to do. At the same time, the way that Chinese governments or companies are set up, they're so in tight with the Chinese government. China's government's basically just giving them permission to control more than what they're already controlling in the first place. So back to the United States over here, this is all about control, guys. And the fact that crypto has been around now, like if they would have done this back in like 2009, I would say before Mt. Gox, let's just say before Mt. Gox, they probably could have gotten their hand around it enough to successfully do this Chokepoint. I mean, I guess at this point it would be just Chokepoint, because this was even before the first one, where they shut down firearms, online poker, and a variety of other different companies that they considered high risk. But I think honestly, bro, or whoever wrote this email, like, I don't think that could happen, just because there's so much coin already out there that it's just not going to be possible to stop now. Like, now if this was all more centralized, I mean, I'm just being theoretical here, but if this was all just very, proof of stake, it was in the beginning, the first year or two of crypto, they could have probably done this had they seen how big and the problem that this was going to be for them. But I just don't think that it's going to be successful. Like, I think they're trying to destroy the on-ramps to crypto. But you got to remember, guys, crypto has already turned into this geopolitical thing. It's been like this for years. Because if the US shuts down, they want to shut down the banking on-ramps to it, but they don't want to shut down crypto because the hash power is here. Does that make sense? Asia has made it hard for people not to own crypto. I can still send Bitcoin Cash to somebody in China if I want. It's not hard to do. It's very easy to do. But China has made it appear difficult for the average Chinese citizen. That's all it's done, is given the wealthy Chinese more power to accumulate. But they made it hard for the average citizen to purchase and trade crypto and all that kind of thing. You can still do it, but it's just not, in the eyes of a Chinese, they're not gonna do it. I mean, for the majority of the population, but yet all the hash power is here. So you see my point? Like, they're trying to take it out from us, yet they are not taking out the source. Because if the United States really wanted to ban crypto, which they can't do in the first place, they would be taking out the miners, not in the sense of like this choke point thing of like making miners not be able to get bank loans and stuff like that. No, they would be actually shutting down the miners, and they would be shutting down the banks at the same time. But interesting enough, that's not what they're doing. They are just trying to shut down the on-ramps to crypto to try to explore how this might affect people wanting to trade in their fiat. Does that make sense? Try to track, because you got to remember, the money is flowing out in the form of fiat dollars. That is something that that is something they can control, yes, and they're making it harder for financial institutions and stuff to let that money inflow into crypto, outflow out of the banking system. But interesting enough, very interesting enough, we haven't seen a drop in hash power in the United States at all. In fact, we've seen an increase in China over the last year, and we've seen relatively the same, a little bit of an increase in the United States. Canada's seen a little bit of an increase as well. This was a little bit lower, I believe, last year. I think it was around, or last year and a half, I think it was around 4. So Canada's increased a little bit too. So just keep in mind, guys, that like there's too much circulating crypto, not in the hands of Coinbase, for example, for the United States, or not in the hands of Binance, aka the Malta Chinese company exchange. Not that it's technically Chinese, but it kind of is. You see what I'm saying? And it's just there's too much of it in circulation. So I hope that answered the question. I kind of feel like I'm being a bit repetitive now, but I think one thing to really watch out over the next year is, let's see over the next year, or the next I think what's going to be really interesting here is where Africa falls into this whole paradigm of crypto. Because Alibaba has been building infrastructure out in China forever. And Yellen taking a trip over here was just putting the ducks in a perfect little row for us all to see. So America's getting a little bit jealous that China's been over here building out stuff while we've been over here taking what's not ours. So I think Africa is something to watch, because it's kind of this very developing country that's in parts of Africa kind of Chinese. Like a lot of the stuff is Chinese, not in a sense of cultural, but in the sense of it's Alibaba, the 4G, 5G they've been building out there, that's already built. The way their payments, WeChat and Alipay, have kind of entered Africa all of a sudden just in the last couple years, and it's just kind of exploded. So I don't think venture capitalists or the Chinese major Alibaba and WeChat, which is essentially the Chinese government. I mean, you can think of it however you want, but the reality of it is those are two and one and the same. And I don't think either one of those mega superpowers are going to be able to stop crypto at this point, or stop miners, or even if they directly buy from miners, it's already been set up too far along where it's not economically feasible to attack crypto anymore. Like it can't be stopped at this point. If they wanted to stop us, they should have stopped us back in 2010, maybe 2011. But I think after Mt. Gox, there was just too much that went into the hands of, we don't know where it went, and that might have been a good thing. It might be a good thing that Mt. Gox got hacked, because had it not been hacked and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then the United States might have stepped in, and things could have been a little bit different. But I think after Mt. Gox, it was absolutely hopeless. And I'm glad Mt. Gox got hacked, honestly. I mean, I don't know where the money went. I don't know who ended up getting it, or if it got shuffled around to 100,000 people all around the world. But that was probably good for crypto, because it made that gigantic leap of, okay, yeah, people lost fiat dollars, but like it spread crypto everywhere. So I think it's a little bit of an impossible scenario for Chokepoint 2.0 to work. So I don't think it'll work. I think I think they should have implemented the original Chokepoint back in 2010. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. Let me know if you disagree, agree. Let me know. But I don't think it's possible at this point. It's just too far along in expansion. And then with now Ethereum being staked, proof of stake, it's not going to happen. I mean, even if they shut down BTC, which would be absolutely impossible, the miners that weren't controlled by people would just they would turn their miners on to Bitcoin Cash or BSV or Bitcoin Gold or Bitcoin Diamond or whatever, and it would just, the money would just move around between these different coins. And with Ethereum being proof of stake with all the ERC20 contracts on there with the staked different side chains and shit, it's just not gonna happen. I don't think it's possible. So let me know, guys. Drop it in the chat. But I'm gonna conclude this episode because I'm kind of just talking in circles at this point, which I do tend to do. But hope you got something out of it, and we'll catch you in the next video. Later.